Repeat, and this is Bhagavad Gita 12.8. So this is one of the most important verses of Bhagavad Gita because it's very succinctly, very simply describing the essence of Bhagavad Gita and the essence of all spiritual life actually. So you can try to repeat if you can remember the words. Mayeva mana adhatsva Mayeva mana adhatsva Mayi buddhim niveshaya Mayi buddhim niveshaya Nivashyasi mayeva Nivashyasi mayeva Ata urdvam na samshayah Ata urdvam na samshayah Maeva mana dhatsva Mayi buddhim niveshaya Nivashishyasi mayeva Ata urdvam na samshayah. So maybe somebody can repeat.
Mayeva manadatsva Mayi buddhim niveshaya Nivashishyasi mayeva Atta urdvam na samshayah
Ata urdvam na samshayah Mayeva manadatsva So now we will continue. So we like to repeat the Sanskrit verse before going into understanding the text because this is very important. When you look at many traditions around the world who have some approach to spirituality, who have some approach to understanding philosophical knowledge, evidence is very important. When you make a statement, it should be backed up by something in the text. Generally, if you meet a Christian preacher on the street, he may quote a book and a number. But the issue sometimes is that they're quoting something which is a translation of a translation. So lots of precision can be lost. For instance, the most famous verse quoted from the book of John is they say that I am the way, the truth and the light. But the problem is just the I am is not translatable into English. For instance, I don't know Swedish unfortunately. But in Spanish there is two words for I am. One is I am as a state that you're feeling in the moment, like I am happy, right? So today you are happy, tomorrow you're sad. So that I am is not the same as saying I am Shami, right? Because that I am Shami will last for the whole of this life. Unless when you get initiated it may change also. But there's two words which you use. One is estar and one is ser in Spanish. So you find that in many languages around the world, but you do not find it in English. Although English is one of the most vocabulary rich languages in the world, even much more than Indian languages, but its grammar is very irregular and over time a lot of its grammatical structure, grammatical complexity has been reduced. That's like, does anyone say thee anymore, like thee? Or you just say you, right? So thee used to mean the singular informal, right? We read in Old English, Shakespeare, the Bible. And you was the plural or it was the formal singular. So if you're saying something respectfully, then you say you. But now everything is you. There's no. So you can't express respect through languages. In Hindi you say tum and aap, right? You have that in Swedish also?
We had.
At least in Germanic you had it. But you don't use it anymore. Because of influence of socialism. So socialism trying to make everyone the same. So you can't say anything respectful because then it's upper class, lower class. But actually most ancient languages, they had this concept. So this is why language is very important. This is why preserving the Sanskrit is very important, because there is no language comparable to the advanced level of the Sanskrit language. And on top of that, in order to quote evidence from scripture, we have to learn the verses. So by repeating these verses, then we'll slowly learn. It sounds like it's just a theoretical thing, right? But actually for me now, when I read the Gita after, I don't know, 15 years of studying, now basically almost every word you understand. Anybody Bengali here? Bengali? So if you're Bengali, generally you'll understand most of the Gita, also the words. Not the grammar, but the words, because it's very similar. Hindi, more or less. So Prabhupada says that even if you don't understand, just by repeating the verse, you get purified, because this is Krishna's words. So Krishna is absolute. So Krishna's words, His name, His form, they're all one, they're all pure, they're all apapa viddham, shuddham, they're all removing sin. Just by repeating this verse, you're clearing your sin in your life. So we can all repeat these things. Even when you read the Gita alone, you should repeat the Sanskrit and you make advancement. So the translation, who would like to shout out the translation? You want to do?
Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt.
So you can see it's a very, very simple verse, but very important, very pertinent, and very deep verse, although it's very simple. So this is one of the greatest teachings of the Bhakti tradition, especially the principle of attraction. One of the great scholars in our movement, he used to come here to Sweden. His name was Ravindra Swarup Prabhu. So now, because of his elderly age, he doesn't travel as much, but many of you may have seen him. So he used to say that in attention is the seeds of love. In context of bhakti, attention is where the seeds of love are planted, because love means to give attention to somebody. There are many things you can give somebody, right? You can give them a new sari, you can give them an iPhone, you can give them pizza, just like our brother Radhesham, he likes to take pizza sometimes. Just joking. So you can gift people many things, but the highest gift you can give someone is your loving, undivided attention, right? Generally in relationships, it doesn't matter if you do everything, but if you're married, your wife will say, you give me everything, you give me money, house, everything, but I never get your attention. But if you're not so much of a hyena, but you give your full attention, then the person will feel satisfied that at least your love is there. So the same with children, right? Children, what's your name? Aviyu. So the same thing with children. Many children, they grow up and they have some issues emotionally, because when they were young, they didn't get sufficient attention from the parents. And when the child, especially before age 7, doesn't get sufficient attention, doesn't get sufficient positive reinforcement 24/7, can be literally 24/7. If he wakes up 2 a.m., you have to give attention, right? How old are you now?
Almost 9.
Wow, so he's become a big boy, eh? So if you don't give your child attention even at 2 o'clock in the morning, then it becomes problematic, right? Like Nitai. So what time does he wake up? Does he ever wake up at night and cry? Not anymore, before. So especially when they're very young, you have to give attention. If you leave the child crying, that impression will stay in their heart, and when they're older, they will feel like they've been abandoned. So it will be a negative effect on their relationship in the future. So this giving of attention is the highest thing that you can afford to somebody. So here Krishna is explaining that if you want to become spiritual, all you have to do is change your attention from material to spiritual. It's very simple, eh? So they say in this material world, we are so obsessed with our own selves. If you look at psychology, they study 99% of our thoughts is all related to I, me and mine. Srila Prabhupada explains there's 2 types of selfishness. So we are all afflicted by these 2 types of selfishness. One is the personal selfishness, that my house, my car, what do I want to eat, so many things. And then there's extended selfishness, which means my children, my parents, my house, my family, my town, my community, my country, like this. So why are we so patriotic about our country? because we were born there. So we only love the country because I was born there. If we were born somewhere else, we'll be patriotic about that country. Depends. Now if you listen to news, then you tend to become unpatriotic. But traditionally in successful societies, people feel patriotic for the success of their society. If you look at the war in Israel and Palestine, I mean it's not really a war, it's mainly just one-way attack. But if you look at the conflict there, then the Palestinians hate the Israelis in general. But if they were born just 10 meters on the other side of the border, they will be in the opposite consciousness, right? So what we think is I, me and mine is arbitrary, right? Because we are born somewhere by chance to our relative vision. We're in this country, we're in this body, we're in this gender, etc., etc. All of these are, in one sense, not related to us. Therefore, I had this thought. It's quite a complicated thing, but if you can follow the point, it's very valuable meditation. That the fact, just like Shami, so what is your so-called race?
Human.
Yeah, I mean not race, but sub-race you can say.
Swedish.
Swedish, right? So he's part of the Swedish race or Germanic race, right? So the fact that he's saying he's Swedish, that is proof he's not Swedish. Yeah, it sounds contradictory, right, Lakshman? What do you think? What do you think? Is it true, Malati? If he says he's Swedish, it's proof he's not Swedish. Doesn't make sense, no? Generally, if you say you're Swedish, that proves you're Swedish, right? What do you think? If you say I'm half Russian, then it proves you're not half Russian. It seems to make no sense, right? But you have to think about the context. What is the context? It's not just that Shami is a body, Shami is a soul, right? So if you say you're Swedish, that statement is only valid for maybe 60, 70, 80 years maximum, right? But if you're the soul, you're eternal, the soul lives for quadrillions and quadrillions of years. So the fact that you refer to a state which is so short, that's proof that you're not that state. Because when he says, I'm Swedish, what he's saying is, in the current body which I'm in right now, I'm Swedish. But your current body in right now is not you, because it's such a short blip in time. Just like if Damodar, generally he wears white t-shirts, right? Is it true? Generally, like most days he wears white t-shirt, right? So if one day he wears a red t-shirt out of, say you live for 10 years, then there will be 3,650 years, right, roughly? I mean days, sorry. So if he lives for 100 years, it will be 36,000 days, roughly. So if he wears a red t-shirt on one day, there's not proof that he wears red t-shirts every day, right? Because he only wore it one day and every other day he wears white. So in the same way, whatever identification we have in such a short blip in time, there's proof that that's not us. Because it's so temporary. So hopefully you get the point. It's a bit technical, but it's a very good way. This is called Jnana Yoga. This is the way by analyzing our life, analyzing our state, what is the true state and what is the temporary state. So therefore Krishna explains that now is the time to stop meditating on ourselves and start meditating on something superior. Stop being spiritual narcissists, in other words. So there is a story that there was a temple in England, and it's very expensive to change buildings. Like if you want to add rooms or you want to extend the building, is it like that in Sweden also? You have to apply for permission, wait 5 years, then get planning permission, then pay for architect, then you have to get authorized builder, like His Grace Nataraj Prabhu or someone like that, and then they have to build the extension. So the temple only had 2 bathrooms for the men, 2 bathrooms for the women. But what the problem was is that on Sunday feast time, there was always a big queue in the bathroom. So the temple president was very intelligent. He said that what I will do to reduce the queuing time is there is a big mirror in the bathroom. If I reduce it to a very small mirror, then maybe the queue time will reduce. So he changed the mirror from a big mirror to a small mirror, and then the queue started going much quicker than usual. He said normally there is a 30 people queue. Now there's only 10 people queue. Because what he realized is that in the bathroom everyone is like looking and adjusting their hair, doing so many things. They're adjusting their moustache, twisting the moustache, like in Spain they twist the moustache. So doing so many things, doing the makeup, foundation. So he saw that because I made the mirror smaller, the queue time went down. And then there's another story similar which Keshav Maharaj tells, that there was one big apartment building, like 50 floors, very big. So many of you may have heard this story. So the lift was very slow. And the people used to complain that we're paying for maintenance. If you live in an apartment block, you have to pay, even if you own the apartment, you have to pay extra money. So people are complaining that we're paying £500 every month, but this lift in 10 years hasn't been improved, it's so slow. So the same thing, what the owner did, instead of changing the lift, which cost £20,000, he just put a bigger mirror. And then after 1 month, when they send the newsletter, it says, thank you very much, you've updated the lift, now it goes very fast. But it's just because everyone is looking at themselves in the mirror that they forget how long it takes for the lift, but they never change the lift. So this is the nature in the material world. We're always looking at ourselves. We're always thinking about ourselves. My house, my car, my family, my job, my bank balance. But how many times do we think about Krishna? So in Scotland, just like our brother here, Radhesham, he likes to distribute books. So there was one guru in Scotland, he was very powerful at empowering people to do book distribution. So he gave one very heavy class. Now his name is Balabhadra Prabhu at the moment. So he gave one very strong class, and he says that after so many years of being a guru, I have noticed that all of you always ask the same questions. Divorce problems, financial problems, what job should I have? I don't feel secure. What should I do? I don't feel like this, I feel like this, etc. But he says, almost never does anyone ask me a question about Krishna. He said, how many times in the year is it that people ask me, why does Krishna like yellow dress and not pink dress? They never ask me that, why does Krishna like to dance in this way and not that way? That why did Krishna steal the clothes of the gopis if he's supposed to be a moral boy? He was very naughty, right? He stole the clothes of, just like, do you ever steal the clothes of the gopis? Okay, good, luckily no. So how many times do we ask in the lecture a question related to Krishna? Generally it's related to us. So he was lamenting that even as devotees, our mind is not much fixed on Krishna. The only time we ask questions related to Krishna is if somehow Krishna can serve us. Then we're interested. So this is the point that Krishna is saying, that the solution to being free from doubts, being free from fear, being free from anxiety is that you have to stop worrying about thinking that you're the body and everything that you need to maintain the body. But you can start thinking actually about something superior, which is a loving relationship with God. There are many things we think about in this world, but we almost never think about a loving relationship with God. But only in a loving relationship with God can we become free from fear. Just like there is a story from Titanic. So there were many, everyone seen the movie Titanic? I'm not saying to watch it, by the way, but everyone seen? So many people drown, right? So sometimes there's a husband and wife, and the husband is holding the wife, I'll protect you, but they're drowning, they're going to freeze to death. So in the material world, doesn't matter, you have parents, you have a nice husband, you have a nice wife, nobody can protect you from fear, from anxiety, right? Because we are very small. So the only one who can protect us from fear, anxiety, doubts, etc. is when we have a loving relationship with God. Because the essence of all problems, the essence of all suffering is ignorance. And what does ignorance mean? Ignorance doesn't mean just non-knowledge like agyana, but ignorance also means to ignore something which we know exists. But because of our false ego, our self-centered nature, we ignore the thing which we're supposed to be focusing on. So therefore it explains, I'm working on a book actually now, based on Mahabharata, and it explains in a deeper way what is laziness. So generally, how would you define laziness, Giri Prabhu?
Not being active.
Not being active, right?
Not being productive.
So that's a good answer. And yourself with the hand back, how would you define laziness? Sorry?
I can't.
Okay, no problem. What's your name again? I forgot your name. How do you define laziness?
Not wanting to do something.
Not wanting to do something, right? So the Mahabharata defined laziness as the aversion to doing one's duty, actually. That is the best definition of laziness, right? So all of us in the material world, we may be very active, right? It's like you can see sometimes there is a father and he works very hard in the job, like 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. Those of you who work in corporate life, you know that when you're on a salary, although you're supposed to work 8 hours, you work 10, 12 hours, right? So sometimes we're so busy working, we neglect our own children, right? We're in the office all day. Then the wife and the children say, oh, we never see you, Dad, you're always in the office. He's thinking, but what do you mean? I'm doing my duty, I'm earning money so all of you can have a nice life. But we also have other parts of our duty. So sometimes it's like escapism. It's a type of escapism that you work really hard in something which is easier for you than something which is hard for you. So in other words, you look like you're busy, but you're just being busy somewhere else. That way you avoid what you're supposed to do. Just like in our Harinam Ruchi team, there was one of our devotees on our team. So we all have services to do. So one of them is cleaning the toilets, right? Generally that's everyone's favorite service. Like Damodar and I, we cleaned the toilet in Radhadesh, right? You remember? So, yeah, we did. No one doubted us. So he used to avoid that service. He'd say, no, I'm busy, I have to go for books. But the whole day he's just lying down, and then when it's time to clean the toilet, it's his turn. He says, no, I have service, I have to go for book distribution. Even though we all go at the same time, he says, no, I want to go early. So it looks like he's very enthusiastic to serve, but he's actually enthusiastic to avoid his service. So alasya means in Sanskrit means the avoidance of what we're supposed to do at the right time, our duty. So therefore there's one saying about, the life coaches, it's a very nice quote. He says that success in life is found in the thing which you're avoiding that you're supposed to do. So if you want to become successful in life, you have to work on the thing that you're avoiding what you're supposed to do. So some people is to do their studies, right? To revise for your exams. So you're busy, Mom, I want to help you in the kitchen. And then the whole day you work in the kitchen and then you avoid revising for your exams, right? Or we make different excuses. So success in life comes when we work on the thing that we're avoiding, that we're supposed to do. So Krishna is explaining that now in the human life, there's so many things, we've been busy for so many thousands of lifetimes. Now the most important thing is that you turn your consciousness from eating, sleeping, mating and defending, and you turn that consciousness towards Krishna. And the start of that is to listen. The start of attention is to listen to somebody. Because as we've explained, that in the attention is the seeds of love. So the first step towards understanding the glories of somebody, understanding the glories of God, understanding the glories of anyone in this world, is we have to give attention to them, right? Just like somebody who is trying to be a monastic, a brahmacharini. The first thing they have to do is not meditate on somebody they're attracted to, otherwise their mind will start going in another direction, right? Or somebody who's supposed to be fasting. If they start thinking about food for a long time, then the digestive fluid, stomach acid will start building up and then they'll get very hungry, right? But if you keep busy in your service, then you don't think about food. It's very easy to fast. So we can see in many, many ways that just by first giving attention, then all the seeds start to come about, attraction starts to come about. So we can see in this verse, there's a very interesting words Krishna used. First he says that Mai eva mana adhatsva. So adhatsva is very important. This adhatsva comes from the root dha, which means to give. Just like you heard of the word shraddha, right? What does it mean, shraddha? Do you remember in the red?
No.
Or Damodar, you remember this word shraddha? Who knows? Do you know the word shraddha, what it means? Yeah, in the back? Trust, yeah. Someone else said also, another one?
Shraddha, trust towards.
Yeah, trust, faith.
Faith, yeah.
So another way the word shraddha is derived etymologically is that shrad in this context, in other context never means it, but somehow in this particular word it means your heart, and dha means to give, or to focus, or to concentrate. So shraddha literally means to give your heart to somebody. So in Krishna consciousness we're not actually teaching people to believe in Krishna, but we're teaching that your heart should become attracted to Krishna. That is the principle in Bhakti Yoga. It's not simply a faith, it's not simply a religious conversion, but it's an affair of the heart that actually, when you look at the deities, we should start to fall in love with Krishna. We should start to feel attraction. Until that point, we haven't started Bhakti Yoga. We're just doing theory of Bhakti Yoga. So this word is used. Krishna says, Mai eva. Eva means certainly. Manaha. Manaha means the mind. So it comes from the root manas. So those of you who speak English or Latin languages, this you find in Latin in the form of mens. So I was thinking that what is the word for mind in Swedish, but it doesn't come from the same root, what Western academics call Indo-European root. The one for the Swedish word for mind, its root is that which turns. Like you may have heard of one of the meanings of yoga is chitta vritti nirodha, to stop the turnings of the mind, the fluctuations of the mind. The mind is one which is always bending in different directions, right? We all experience it every day, fluctuating. So this particular word Krishna is giving, that adatsva, that please place your mind on me. And the word a is an intensifier, the root, the prefix, adatsva. So it means to very intensely or focusedly or intentionally bring your mind and place it on Krishna's lotus feet. So therefore, one of our great acharyas says, I have no mind, my mind is just Vrindavan, that's all. All that's present in his mind is just Vrindavan. So this is our meditation. And then step 1, Krishna says, that put your heart at my lotus feet, adatsva, fix it at me. And then Mayi buddhim niveshaya. So buddhi means intelligence. It's not simply theoretical intelligence, it's not simply mathematical intelligence, but buddhi means, this is how also His Grace Ravinda Swarupa defines, that long-term, goal-directed activity. That's what intelligence means. So buddhi is focused on the long term. In the mind focuses on the short term. How do I feel in the moment? What do I want to do now? Does this please me? Does this displease me? But the buddhi means the long-term, goal-directed activity. So when we're controlled by the mind, then we're just doing whatever we feel, right? Whatever our feelings tell us to do, we do it. But the intelligence is what we're supposed to be governed by, which is that the intelligence is goal-directed activity, not just feelings or sentiment, but what is the goal of every activity. Sometimes you come to the temple and then we think, how do I feel? Did the Prabhuji in the saffron smile at me today? Sometimes we say, oh, this devotee didn't smile, I don't want to come next week to the temple. Sometimes people are so soft like that, Or sometimes they say, oh, this one said this to me, that one said that to me, I don't want to come to the temple anymore. But what is your goal? Is it for social brain massage or what? The goal of coming to the temple is that we're supposed to develop attraction for Krishna. So whether the brahmachari or the temple president or someone didn't smile at you or not, it doesn't change your opportunity to learn about Krishna, your opportunity to chant, to be seen by the deity, etc. Right? So we have to be very strong in our buddhi. Otherwise, if we follow our mind, then sentiment will pull us away very easily. But Krishna is saying, still in the material world, even our buddhi has become hijacked. So therefore Krishna is also saying that Mayi buddhim niveshaya. So that please place your intelligence, please shelter your intelligence unto me as well. So this is the two ways which we can place our attention, through our mind and through our intelligence. And then he says that nivashyashi mayi eva ata urdvam na samshaya. And therefore by doing these two things in spiritual life, you engage your intelligence in me and you fix your mind upon me, then you'll live with me without a doubt. And what is the solution Prabhupada gives in the purport? That he says, one who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. So this is the point, that Bhakti Yoga is a direct connection with the Lord, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Other types of yoga, they're not direct connection in the way Bhakti Yoga is. They're generally doing an indirect process, just like following the Vedic process, Karma Kanda process. Following the Jnana Yoga process, we're mainly looking at liberation or mukti. In the Karma Kanda process and in even the Karma Yoga, we're still thinking, what activity do I like? And then I offer that to Krishna. But Bhakti Yoga is directly thinking, what activity does Krishna like? Let me offer that to him. So that is actually the highest type of love. Generally we think love just means to sit next to someone, not love, but association means you just sit next to someone, right? If I sit next to my guru, then I'm associating with my guru. I can understand my guru. But Krishna is saying that the way to actually understand him, the way that you will attain him and live in him. Why does Krishna use the word live? Because that means your full constitutional position is related to that position. Like if you live in a house, you go to the shop, come back. Then you go to school, come back. Go to the job, come back. So your constitutional position is always in that consciousness. So Krishna is explaining the best way is through these two processes of surrendering the mind and the intelligence. Because when you associate with a very senior guru or very senior Vaishnava, it's not enough just to sit near them. There are many mosquitoes may land on the senior Vaishnava, right? So it doesn't mean that the mosquito understands. What do you think? Does the mosquito understand the guru by sitting on him? No, right? So the real way to understand the senior Vaishnava, to understand Krishna, is to understand what is their mood, to understand what is their mission, to understand what is the most confidential thing in their heart. And this is all given in Bhagavad Gita. Why does Krishna come to speak the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna comes to help us. Krishna comes to throw a rope, that please hold on to the rope and I'll pull you up. So therefore this is the most confidential message. Krishna explains that you can only understand this through devotion. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah. That this only way you can understand Krishna is by offering devotion to him, acts of devotion. So therefore that is why Prabhupada says that in the purport. And then the next part of the purport, Prabhupada is explaining on a practical level, how do we develop this attraction which Krishna is saying, that once you attain this, then you will attain me, you will reside in me without any doubt. So Krishna explains that in the Gita, that Yat karoshi yat ashnasi yat juhoshi dadasiga yat tapasasi konteya kurushatad madarpanam. That everything you do, you dovetail it, you engage it in Krishna's service. So whatever you eat, instead of eating McDonald's, instead of eating, there are many nasty things which people eat in this world, you offer sattvic food to Krishna and then you only consume that. Whatever things you use in the material world, you use it as an offering to Krishna. Just like instead of getting some fashionable Gucci clothes, you can put nice saffron dress, like Shyamasundar here, and offer that to Krishna. You can have a nice sari, like Ananya, and offer that to Krishna. So whatever you do, you engage that in Krishna. That is the second point which Prabhupada is making in the purport. And then this is the last statement which Srila Prabhupada makes, that one who does not engage in such service will never be able to understand the secret which Krishna is giving. That simply by doing two things, engaging your mind in Krishna, engaging your intelligence in Krishna, you will live with him. So Srila Prabhupada explains that unless you engage in devotional service, it will never make sense to you. Because one understands Bhakti Yoga, one understands the Lord, not through intelligence, but one understands the Lord through love. Because when you have a loving relationship, then somebody reveals himself to you. Just like sometimes you have a friend, and you've known them for many years, but you were never very close. Just like I have one friend, I was just within England, so I knew him for about I've known him for 10 years. But it was only in the 8th year he revealed to me so many things about his past, his history, so many difficulties he had. He became very vulnerable to share all of these things. But you can only share such deep things from your heart, experiences and so many emotions, when you fully trust somebody, right? So in the same way, you cannot understand Krishna unless he reveals himself to you. So the more that you arrange your life in a way that you become Krishna conscious by how you eat, the time that you wake up, instead of listening to pop music, you can listen to Krishna bhajans. Instead of watching Netflix, you can watch the Narasimha movie in Stockholm. So there are so many ways that you simply transform your activity to redirect it to Krishna. And by doing this, slowly, Krishna reveals himself to you. And when he reveals himself to you, then you become free from this anxiety, fear and doubts. So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. So is there any question or comment, any doubts?
How to learn Sanskrit?
How to learn Sanskrit?
Yes.
So, any other question? Because that's a difficult question. So, how to learn Sanskrit? I mean, we don't have to learn full Sanskrit because it's very complicated, especially the grammar. But the actual vocabulary in Sanskrit, just by repeating the verses regularly and then consciously reading the synonyms which Prabhupada has given, that's sufficient to learn. And then start to think about every word. Like if you sing bhajans in the morning, when you're singing the songs like the Guru Puja, this in Bengali, but still we have to learn the meanings. And then Guru Ashtakam, which is in Sanskrit, the Govinda Madi Purusham prayers. Then we should start, once we've been in the movement for a few years, we should start to think, what does each word mean? You know, we should be able to sing and understand every word which we're singing. Otherwise it becomes just a little bit hollow sometimes, unless we learn. So the first step is you learn the English translation, that's when you're new, and then later on you should learn each word meaning. Then you get to the point where you learn a Gita verse, but you don't even learn the English translation because you know all the words, what they mean. So, but it comes with time. It's not something you have to actively do. Because even if you're a great Sanskrit scholar, like Shankaracharya, he says, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudhamate, Samprapte Sanihite Kali Nahi Nahi Rekshati Dukkarin Karale. That even if you're a great Sanskrit scholar, great, what's the word? Grammatician? Is that a word? Great expert in grammar, it won't save you at the time of death. If you try to bend all of the Sanskrit text to get some impersonal meaning out, etc., only by worshipping the Lord. So many of these qualities, we don't need to actively cultivate them, but if they come through the execution of devotional service, then we can use them in Krishna service. So, and the Sanskrit vocabulary, especially in Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, is not that hard. So North Indian people generally, they understand most of the words already. And if you've been in the movement, after some time you'll pick it up. But the main thing is to understand the essence of what Krishna is saying. So thank you very much. Any other question? So thank you very much. What is now?